welcome our guests this morning. We're being recorded. A little bit of interruption there. On this lovely sunny Thursday, as we have it today, we have supporting the event today the wonderful Molly Hall from Kent Invicta Chamber, who does all the technical stuff. We're also here with Kelly Chawner. So if we have any non-members in the room that want to talk Chamber, Kelly and I never tire of talking Chamber. So we're always delighted to engage with people and schedule in a discovery meeting. For those guys that we know that are here today, big welcome. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our keynote speakers, Smart Marketing and Smart Support. Just a little tiny request. We'd ask if you could kindly leave your cameras on. It kind of makes the interaction more personal. We all understand that Amazon rudely come to the door when we're in the middle of a Zoom meeting and there are other interruptions, but it just makes it a little bit more personal and a little bit more intimate. So that would be great if everyone could do that. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Alistair Moore. Al, good morning to you. How are you feeling today?
Good morning, Cass. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, lovely introduction, and it's good to be intimate, isn't it? So absolutely. So looking forward to this presentation. It's great to virtually meet you all. We're really thrilled that the Chambers asked us back for one of these presentations. Is it possible, just through the medium of electronic digital hands, to see who's been to one of these presentations before on sales and marketing? Thank you very much. Thank you. So that's good. So we'll be really expanding on some of the things from the sales and marketing presentations before. So now, as business owners, we appreciate two things really. We appreciate that running a business is incredibly hard. It's a difficult plate spinning act, and sometimes marketing can be the plate that you don't mind smashing. And also we live in very interesting times. The second half of 2021 there's lots of threats, lots of possibilities. We've got the inflation from Brexit and QE. What impact will that be? What will happen with June 21st? There's a lot of money sloshing around, a lot of pent-up demand as well. So in light of all of this, we really need an agile marketing strategy so that you can respond as quickly as possible to all the changes. And also appreciate that you possibly don't want to invest too much with your marketing spend. So with all of that in mind, we put together 5 marketing activities that you could start tomorrow that may not require any financial investment, or if they do, a small amount. So the 5 activities are based on our 10-step strategy plan that we've presented before. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there will be a brief overview of the plan early on in the presentation. We've actually put together an ebook on the strategy, the 10-step strategy, which you're more than welcome to a copy of. Now, if you are going to push forward with a marketing strategy plan in 2021 for the second half, then we would recommend you nominate an unreasonable friend to help you stick to it. There will be some interactive elements to the presentation this morning, so we will be making you work. If you do miss any of the slides, full deck will be available as well. Chat function is on, and I can see it's buzzing away nicely as well. So we'd love your feedback and any questions that you've got, so we can make the most of our time together. So who are we? What gives us the right to talk to you today? So Smart Marketing, a network of business advisors and marketing consultants that are based in Kent and Essex. If you've seen us before, hopefully you remember us, but if not, I'm Alistair, and I've got a background in sales. I've been involved with the Chamber movement since 1999 as employee, subcontractor and member. I've been running a business since 2005 and I've got real passion for helping SMEs. My colleague and co-presenter Catherine, who's waving, was marketing director at Eurotunnel. Lots of experience of putting strategic thought into marketing plans. And what she's done, what we developed together, is basically translating a lot of that corporate thought, a lot of corporate methods, and translating that into a universal plan that any company of any size can take advantage of. Now, soft lighting makes it difficult to believe, but Catherine and I have around 50 years or so of sales and marketing experience between us. Now, in that time, obviously, a lot of changes have taken place. Techniques and platforms have changed dramatically, but the principles have remained the same. The activities we're highlighting today are all digital. Now, we do live and breathe the motto, do what you do best and outsource the rest. So for that reason, we've built up a panel of web designers, SEO and PPC specialists. So we refer to those as needed. For example, I can see we've got David from Simply Clicks with us today. Know that he worked on Beresford's account, got some fantastic results for them. Beresford's are amazing accountants firm, by the way. They're really good. I'd have a word with them. Our sister company, Smart Support, got a team of experienced business advisors. Philip and Tim have worked very closely with the Kent Medway Growth Hub throughout the crisis period, firstly fielding calls, and then they manned a help desk and have delivered tailored advice sessions as well. So that's the Smart Group as a whole. What would we like to do today? We've chalked up a few ideas of what we'd really love to go through. There will be a fair amount of information, and obviously we're on hand to help as much as we possibly can. We really want everyone to be as fired up as possible after our hour or so today. And we do know it's really easy to walk away from these things and get involved in the day-to-day stuff of running your own business. So, you know, we are sure you're going to be hit by things that are important or urgent or possibly both, and forget some of the things that we mentioned today. So please look at your notes tomorrow, put them to one side, treat yourself to some time and perhaps an al fresco coffee or whatever, and review your activities. What will you actually start doing tomorrow? What do you actually want to achieve for you and your business by the end of December? Now, appreciating you've given yourself an hour out of your incredibly busy schedule today, but how often do you do that during an average working week? How often do you work out what your business does, what itches do you scratch, and how clients actually will find you? Give yourself some time to do that each week. How will you do that? Well, Catherine has got a structure to help you formulate that thought process.
Thanks, Alistair. Yeah, I'm Catherine, and I just wanted to explain that before starting, we've done a presentation on this before, but there are 10 key steps that you can use to build a successful marketing strategy. Our presentation today is going to go into more detail on point 8 of this process, which is quite often where most of our clients seem to start with their marketing. But we wanted to make sure that you reviewed the importance of doing all the steps to get your strategic plan right first. You shouldn't get your wallet out and spend any money on marketing activity until you have a plan in place and have worked through these 10 steps. So to summarize that process, it's defining what you want to achieve, setting your aims and goals, clarifying what your offer is and being clear that you know what that is, being able to explain what your offering is and how it compares to your competitors, what makes you special, then targeting exactly who you want to sell to, who's your audience, exploring what's important to them when buying from you and how you meet their needs. And then point 6 is confirming your pricing strategy, making sure you know where you sit in the market, and then specifying your SMART goals. And we'll go into that in a bit more detail. SMART's one of our keywords, name the clues in the title. And then point 8, defining what marketing strategies you're going to adopt. And we're going to outline 5 of those later on today in this presentation. They are by no means exclusive. There are plenty of other activities that have merit, but we've focused on 5 that should be simple to implement and should deliver tangible results. Then you want to determine and measure the success of what you're doing. Absolutely make sure you've got a return on your investment, even if that's just your time. And then establish what investment or budget you might need to achieve those marketing activities. So we're going to cover off a couple of those key steps now, just to make sure we're going in the right direction. And the first one really is our aims and objectives. So defining what you want to achieve is building your aims and objectives. And marketing has a reputation of being a bit fluffy and not being very measurable. And I think it absolutely should be a science, and it should be measurable. Goals should not be airy-fairy statements. Just saying, oh, I want more sales doesn't really clearly define how you're going to measure it and what you're going to do to make it happen. So your goals should really be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So as an example of that, you want to get X number of new sales every month, or develop X number of new leads every month, or have Y number of sales meetings every month. And if you specify that and set that out at the beginning, then you've got something to measure against and make sure you actually achieve it. And you'll know how many customers you need to make that happen too. The next step on the plan is really to work out how you explain what's important to your customers in a way that makes you stand out. This is how you detail what your unique selling point is, your USP. You need to talk in terms of the client's language. We often find that our clients define what they do with loads of jargon that the customer doesn't understand, nor do they care about. What you need to do is describe how you solve their problems at the end of the day. That's what they care about, and their challenges, in a way that makes you choosing you over and above the competition really easy. Why should they pick you over and above the business down the road? For example, a locksmith doesn't just put locks in and give keys that fit. He delivers peace of mind and security, and the knowledge that your household insurance will stand up. A personal stylist, for example, doesn't just deliver clothes that keeps their clients warm, but develops their clients' confidence and well-being, knowing that they look at their best. So that's talking in the client's language. There are very few businesses that are totally unique, but there's always something you can pull out to make you special. And this should include your USP. It doesn't have to be complicated. It may be that you can offer a 24/7 service, or that you can be at a client within 24 hours of inquiry because you're local, or that you're a long-standing family business, which makes you a preferable choice over an anonymous big corporate like British Gas. There's always something you can highlight to make you stand out. So we wanted to go into a breakout room now, if that's all right, and discuss USPs, and perhaps go around the room and think about what your elevator pitch might be. How would you tell someone, like in a networking event, what you do and what makes you special? So is that all right, Molly, to pop us into a meeting room?
And we're going to give you 7 seconds. So the time limit is 7 seconds. So it's
per elevator pitch.
What you do in 7 seconds.
So we talked about what makes us special and what makes us stand out. The next thing we really want to talk about is who your target audience is and who your clients are. If you could describe your top 5 clients in terms of not just their name, but their demographics and their size, that would be a really useful exercise. The more detailed you can be with your customer profiling, the easier it is to think later about how you might talk to them, and then define your message accordingly. For business to business environments, that's things like, what business sector does your client work in? What firm size would be an ideal target? Think about turnover or the number of staff that they employ. Where might your leads need to be geographically for you to make them a good client? And do they offer complementary services or products to your own, which would make them either a good lead or a good referrer? If you're in the business to consumer environment, then you need to think about where an ideal client might live geographically, what their age is, what sex they are, what type of job might they have? Are they a managing director or perhaps a stay-at-home mum? They have very different profiles and their needs are very different, and you need to talk to them very differently. What might the household earnings be? What paper might they read? And what are their interests in terms of sport, lifestyle? What music do they listen to? Where do they eat out? What are their hobbies, etc.? This paints a picture that can then build a real personality for an ideal client, and really will help you with your targeting, your media choice, and your messaging. So one of the key considerations is how you want your customers to feel, and part of that is a branding exercise. One of the principal elements for any business is their brand image. This is one of 2 things. It's the visual representation of your business, which can often be described as your identity, and part of that is your logo. But it's more than that. Branding might seem a bit of a grandiose term to use for a small business, but actually it's really important in terms of creating a memorable identity for your business. I've often heard it said that when people are talking about a brand, you can replace the word brand with just business. It should encapsulate your personality, and it says what you do and what you look like. It also, I'm sorry if you can hear my kids in the background. I did warn them, but they just, yeah, there we are. They're noisy. It also affects your audience in terms of how they feel about your offering and can influence that. And things that you might need to consider to play a part in your brand definition would be your mission and vision. Why did you start up your business? Your values, what you stand for, and how this will help instill trust. Your skills, what are you good at? Your unique selling points, we talked about this earlier. What makes you special in comparison to the competition? Your team, who makes up the business, why that's important. The industry, where do you fit in? Are you a luxury, top of the line offering or a bargain basement value for money offering? This will help define your brand style. And then your audience, you need to talk in their language. A funeral director, for example, wouldn't use daft TikTok videos of the team dancing to back up their brand identity. It's all got to marry up. Some branding needs to fall into the language that you use as well, and the images that you use to portray your products and services. Your business name, your logo, identity, and how it all ties together. And it's really about consistency too. If you put out messages in one format on your website and then produce leaflets in a completely different style, you'll end up looking like two businesses and people won't trust the messages that you're putting out there, as it's inconsistent in style. It makes it seem like you don't care. If you keep tapping away with the same brand style, people will start to recognize your business. To give an example that we might all understand, Go Compare, the insurance company. You can barely say it without singing it, can you? Insurance is a pretty bland subject, but they've used that fat opera singer to inject a bit of personality and fun into their branding and corporate identity. We automatically associate him with the business. He's part of their brand identity and they've sewn him into all of their communications. There are videos about him talking about insurance, cartoons of him on their website. You know exactly where you are when you see him singing or you see his image. That's brand collateral, and they're really consistent with their messaging in all of the media that they use. You need to establish what your identity is and what it encapsulates. It doesn't have to be a fat opera singer, nor does it have to be an expensive TV advertising campaign, but stick with it, use it consistently wherever you communicate. Your picture choices, your identity, your language, all of this backs it up. So how do we make this work?
Right, so how do we make this work? So we've looked, and in fact we started working, didn't we, in our groups on what actually makes us special, and trying to boil that down as much as possible to the 7 seconds. So now what we need to really do is consider what Catherine was saying there, what makes up the specifics of your audience. So that's really potential customers and also potential referrers as well. Because once we've got our USP plus our audience, then we can start to really find out what our keywords need to be. That's how these people are going to find you. So we really need to think on the what, how, where, and the variation of all three of those, and really bring that over to short tail keywords. That's those 2-word search terms, and then the long tail keyword phrases, where you can go into the specifics a bit more. So when was the last time that you reviewed your keywords? Have you ever reviewed your keywords? Could you use a tool like Google Adword Planner? Catherine, how could someone use Google Adword Planner?
Well, we've got David in the room, so I might have a bit of backup here, but Google Adword Planner is a really useful free tool that you can sign up to if you've got a Google account. So if you haven't already done it, make it your homework after this session to sign up to Google Adword Planner. It's really simple. It looks like you're going to be committing to some kind of advertising campaign, but don't worry, you can do all the research first and generate your keywords free of charge, and you won't have to spend a penny. You fill in the details about your business, being as specific as you can, and then it will generate a list of keywords that you can include in all of your marketing activity. And you can go back and change the details as many times as you like and see if those changes change the results. Of course, an agency like David's will do this for you if you want to go for an advertising campaign, but it's really good to know what you can do in advance and it will help you define a brief if you're thinking about an advertising campaign. So have you thought about search terms and how they work? I think we're going to go into a breakout room now and pick a business we could do and maybe do a Google search to see where their business ranks. Do they have a Google My Business posting? Some search terms and business names don't marry up, so it's a really useful exercise. So if we can go into the breakout rooms and just talk about that a bit, Molly.
Oh, there she goes.
We had some really interesting chat about the type of search terms that people put in to look for their business. And I think we're all too heavily involved in, you know, the jargonese of our businesses and not actually understanding what the problems are that people want to solve. And David used a really good example of a guy. David, tell the septic tank story. Can you unmute yourself and do that? Where are you, David? He's gone maybe. Okay, I'll tell it. So for instance, he's got a client that he's doing pay-per-click advertising for who sells septic tanks. And actually the key search term that people put in to find his business, and it's doing really well, is smell. So people put in smelly something or other and then find his business. So what you think your search terms are quite often aren't. And that's where something like a tool like Google AdWords Planner will help you. Because if you put in all the details about your business, all the products you serve, it will tell you exactly what people are searching for to find you. And quite often it's a lot simpler than you think.
And I think it's going to get a lot more subscribers, Google AdWord Planner, after today. So
it's just a tool that's quite useful. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, go on, Alistair.
No, just from that point of view, I think there's there's going to be lots of coffees and lots of chewing on pencils tomorrow, which is really good. I think it's what it's all about, isn't it? So.
Good. Moving on. So we promised you 5 activities you could go away and start to deliver some tangible results for your business. These are not an exclusive list. There, of course, are other strategies you can employ, but these are activities that with some time and resource, you could get started with yourself. And the first one is your website content. And we've talked about that in terms of finding your keywords and weaving that content through your website. Website is more than ever, a digital presence is really important. This is your shop window. Most of us, if we're looking for a product or service, will Google it. And if you've got decent search engine optimization, you've planned your keywords, as we mentioned earlier, and you've weaved this content through your website, then potential customers will find you on Google. But when they get to your website, will you help convert the prospect into a customer? Or is your website seriously out of date and might put people off? Think about investing some time and possibly some budget on getting your website right. If you've had to change your products or services due to COVID, make sure you clarify that. People aren't psychic, they don't know what you're doing, and it will put their mind at rest if they know that you're taking it seriously. I often see websites where the information is really quite dry and uninteresting. Some products or services can be dry and uninteresting, but your website doesn't have to be. From experience, I think these are the key pages that you need to have developed. And if you don't have these detailed on your website, then spend some time building them. Your homepage needs to include a brief description of what you do. I say brief, few words, few lines, not too lots of jargon, and a few key pictures and reasons why anyone should choose you. Good testimonials should help, and that will establish your credibility, and a quick call to action. Quick links to your social pages is important, and all the basic information should be on your homepage. But don't forget to talk in the language that your customer wants to understand and how you're going to solve their problems. Make it easy for them to decide to pick you. About us. A boring bit of blurb about how your business started is fine, but people really want to see is pictures of your team and what you do, your qualifications, and if you're a credible organisation. People love to see pictures, and when you engage your services, it's great to see Jim, who you saw on the website when you go into that shop or premises, or when they come into your home. Put some personality into it as well. What do you do outside of work? People buy people, and they want to know that human beings are going to be looking after them. Your services and products, detail what you offer and how you do it. This is where your unique selling point comes in and makes it clear what you're good at and what you do. Demonstrate your credibility really simply and clearly. Make it simple to buy. If you're an e-commerce offering, you should be able to buy off the page. If you're not, then the call to action and your phone number is really important here. Case studies and testimonials. It's really important to build that Me Too factor. If you've done some great work, then tell people about it. Demonstrate the variety of work that you do and how your clients were delighted with what you did. And then blog and news. Tell people how you've worked this past year. It's relevant and important right now. Blogs help with your organic SEO ranking as well and give you content to shout about via social media. This is where you can offer your expertise, tips and ideas and be the real help to other businesses, which will gain you respect. Be the good guy and help people out. Create an ebook of an idiot's guide to your business. Whatever you do, and enable people to download it in exchange for email addresses. And that way you can start building your database from your website. Make sure you weave your keywords into your content, as this will help Google rank you and those key search terms. And then the contact us page. Make this easy with phone calls or a simple contact form. You can buy off the page, and then make sure you make that simple to do. You've gone back a page there, that's it. Ask visitors to sign up to your newsletter page here, and don't promise something that you can't deliver. If you're going to offer a newsletter, make sure you do it. Make sure you follow the Google guidelines for your website content. The size of your copy is really important. Google will not recommend websites where there is less than 16 pixels because it's not readable. And make sure that your website works in mobile format. We all look at stuff on our mobile phones more and more. And if browsing through your website is a real hack on your mobile phone, then your customers will lose interest. Picture tagging is really important as well. Although as users, we look at the pictures, search engines look at the labels behind them to help direct inquiries to the right websites. So well-tagged images will help with your SEO as well. The more original and quality pictures you can put on your website, the better. Stock photographs have a place, but if you can get original pictures of your team going about their job, so much the better. It tells the story and helps build your brand profile. And don't forget about metadata as well, and meta tags. These are snippets of text that describe a web page's content. The meta tags don't appear on the page itself, but only in the page's source code. Meta tags are essentially little content descriptors that help search engines find your web pages and what it's about. It's really important to ensure your meta tags are done for every page if you want to be found by the search engines, and they've got to be relevant and up to date.
Okay, good. So that's some of the things that we can think of with regards to our web content. Now, Catherine mentioned there about blogs. Can I just check and see who regularly blogs, who regularly puts up a blog? Excellent. That's good. How do you find it? Do you enjoy the process, or is it one of those, oh God, I've got to stick a blog up on my website? Does it become one of those things you need to do on a list? Well, if it's important to realise that with any blog that it's about writing for people, and you're not writing for search engines. So try not to dive into blogs. Think, plan and research as much as possible. Would you ask yourself, would I actually read this? Would it interest me? So try to go beyond just writing for the sake of it. Look to fulfill those 2 points there. Solve a particular problem and appeal to the end user, because we want to build up this audience. We want to get our audience excited, because these will be our customers, prospects, referrers, and also influential fans. And this should be easier because we've got to know what our solution-based USPs are, and we've got to think about who our audience is as well. Now, Google determines the relevance of any page by analysing the content, and this includes several factors, as we've mentioned before, these keywords. So we need to put together blogs that reflect that criteria. So how can we get to know how to do really attention-grabbing blogs? Well, use peer-to-peer groups when you're networking. See if you can get an idea of what is working, and get an idea from there. And try wherever possible, get yourself out of the office to write the blogs. Perhaps you can give yourself some creative space to do that. And then use tools like Ask the Public to come up with ideas. You can find out what people are actually looking at, what some of those keywords could be, and then have a 4-week rolling program if possible, so that you can take some of the think out of what you're doing. Now, I appreciate that you've got the fundamentals of the business that you need to consider, but also try and reflect as much as possible what's happening in the news. It's essential that your content is original, and you can use programs like QText to make sure that's the case, because plagiarized content, unwilling or not, will affect your Google score. It's also good to think about backlinks. Now, backlink is a link which is created from one site to another, and effectively it counts as a vote of confidence. Follow backlinks from highly popular authoritative sites like BBC are perfect. And it's also good to think about who the opinion leaders and complementary services are in your sector, so that you can get them involved, so your backlink strategy is as effective as possible. What about giving Google some money? How would that work?
So we talked about SEO. The other side of the digital search side of things is a paid campaign that you can do with pay-per-click. So what's the difference between pay-per-click and SEO? Pay-per-click is a model of internet marketing, which is where advertisers pay a fee each time one of their ads is clicked. Essentially, it's a way of buying visitors to your website rather than attempting to earn them organically. It allows advertisers to bid for ad placement in search engines with sponsored links when someone searches for a keyword that's related to their business offering. When you put in a search on Google, you'll see the first few listings will have the little word ad next to them, and that's because the business is ranked first and they've paid to do so. Every time an ad is clicked, we're sending a visitor to our website. We have to pay the search engine a small fee. When pay-per-click is working correctly, the fee should be trivial, because the visit is worth more than what you pay for it. In other words, if we pay £3 for a click, but it results in a £300 client or sale, then we've made a nice profit. A lot goes into winning and bidding for a pay-per-click campaign, from researching the right keywords to organising those keywords into a well-organised campaign and ad groups, to setting up the pay-per-click landing pages that are optimised for conversions. Search engines reward advertisers who can create relevant, intelligently targeted pay-per-click campaigns by charging them less for those ad clicks. If your ads and landing pages are useful and satisfying to users, as far as Google is concerned, they'll charge you less for each click, leading to higher profits for your business. So if you want to start using pay-per-click, it's important to learn how to do it right. More specifically, who gets to appear on a page is based on advertisers' ad rank. This is a metric calculated by multiplying two key factors: the cost per click bid, which is the highest amount an advertiser is willing to spend, and the quality score, which is a value that takes into account your click-through rate, your relevance, and your landing page quality. The system allows winning advertisers to reach potential customers at a cost that fits their budget. So it's sort of like an auction. You need to know what the competition is like for the keywords that relate to your business. If the competition is very high, then the associated cost per click might be high too. The benefits of a well-constructed pay-per-click campaign is that you will rank highly for your keywords immediately the campaign is launched. There's no waiting game to climb the rankings, but it can be costly depending on what market you operate in. Pay-per-click works really well for e-commerce businesses. You can easily measure the cost per conversion when someone buys, because they click through and buy from your website. For B2B, it's a bit harder, but not impossible to measure the results. Having campaign-specific phone numbers or promotional offers can help get a really secure measure on the results of your campaign. But get an advice from a professional on this. If you understand the process, you can give a decent brief to a pay-per-click expert or agency, and then be sure that the campaign is built to achieve the objectives for your business.
Excellent. So we've got that side of things. We've got the SEO and we've got the PPC as two potential activities, and we've again joined those in with the content that we're generating on our website. What about email newsletters? Now, when I was in technical publishing, I had the great pleasure of being mentored by an award-winning maverick. He drummed into me that equation that you might just be able to see on the screen there. C plus E equals R. So if you get the C right, that's the circulation, and by doing your research, we know that we're talking to the right people, then we can get to the point where we can introduce E, that's good editorial, and that content will be interesting to the C, to your audience. So by marrying C plus E, you will end up with R, which is your readership. Now, as he thought like an engineer, John was a genius at writing interesting copy that appealed to busy electronic engineers. He even helped me to get excited about PCB pick and place machines. The result was this free controlled distribution magazine got good readers, and our advertisers got inquiries. And we can replicate this, this model. Now, it's quite interesting because the humble email newsletter is experiencing something of a resurgence at the moment. According to a recent Oxford University report, data shows that popular news emails can get open rates of up to 80%, though industry averages tend to be around 30%. Now, with GDPR rules that came in a few years back, you've probably seen the number of email newsletters in your inbox decimated. And this potentially can be good news because it means that we can get your email, if it's warranted and welcomed, can get solace appeal in your prospects' inbox. So pick a CRM system or emailing system that suits your needs perfectly. There's a number out there. And then follow the do unto other principle. So basically don't spam, but cultivate. Make everything about the database, that audience. Now, there's some excellent workshops out there by a lady called Helen Perry, who really helps on this subject. So it's really enlightening about the possibilities. So if you tailor your marketing around getting your audience, your potential buyers, referrals to subscribe to your newsletters, as Catherine mentioned earlier in the presentation, then you can be confident about building up that C, that circulation. And then we know that you know how to write good copy as well. So you're generating the E, you're creating all these wonderful blogs. So why not group some recent blogs together and put those into an email newsletter? You can really squeeze the pip and get the double return on your time. So by doing the research, by knowing your audience and matching your solution-based content, you can be sure of readership. And you can almost start like a community or a club. You can foster ideas, promotions, and establish partnerships. Whatever your smart marketing plan suggests that you need to do. What about social media? How does this focus?
So our final activity that we've suggested that you could look at is social media. Statistics are supporting the fact that people are spending loads more time on social platforms than ever before. And if you don't have up-to-date and relevant content on there, you're missing a trick. This is where you can tell more of your story, offer free advice that really will make a difference. Don't neglect this really useful communication tool. Paid social media is a really powerful tool too, because you can really carefully target your demographic by age, interest, and locations quite cheaply sometimes. Don't waste time posting on a social media platform though that isn't relevant to your customer profile. If your target audience is aged 20 to 30, then Facebook isn't for them, that's for the olders. Think about Instagram, Twitter, and maybe even TikTok being more relevant to your audience. Every platform has an audience, and make sure your messages are targeting the right one. It's important that you maintain your brand story with your social media posts, as we highlighted earlier when we talked about brand consistency. If your brand is a serious business, perhaps a firm of solicitors, then it would not work well for you to start putting posts on social media with daft filters, emojis, and content that doesn't sit well with your brand image. Your social media should build on your story. You can expand here and put great content and links to your website. Content ideas could be your team profile, post pictures and a bit of a story about them, their qualifications and their experience. This will help expand on your about section from your website. Get the team to like and share and help build your audience too. Case studies. If you've done a great piece of work, then highlight it here. Put links to your client's website too, as well as yours, so that you can build the story for both businesses. Industry news expert posts. If there's a story in the press that relates to your industry, then you can post about it and make a comment. This builds your profile and shows that you're keeping up to date with the news. Video. More and more people want to consume content via video. You can do this quite simply by filming tours around your facility, interviews with key staff members, or video of your products being made or working with your clients. Keep it short and sweet, and if you can, employ a professional to do some film footage. But I do think people are more and more tolerant of quick video clips. It makes you human and it makes you relatable. Promotional offers. Offers with a short lifetime are really perfect to promote on social media, since when they're done, you can stop talking about them. Events and news. Promote events you're hosting and celebrate news that you can share, awards and that kind of thing. And strategic alliances. Improve your social media footprint by liking and sharing relevant content. And if you can, help another complementary business. They should do the same for you in return. And you could double your postings and your audience with like-minded social media content.
Excellent. So lots that can be done with social media there. So what will you do tomorrow? Hopefully we've given you enough food for thought throughout the course of this presentation. So perhaps if you can, give yourself 30 minutes to take all of this in. Have a look at the notes that you've made today. Make sure you're fully aware of what you want to achieve with your marketing over the next 6 months or so. Be very, very clear on your USPs. What would you use 7 seconds to describe yourself? What makes you special? And then continually review it, because I'm sure your business continually evolves. And then know who makes up your audience. And again, this can change. You might take on new products, new projects, which would mean that you've got access to new markets. And then create at least 12 to 20 keywords, short and long tail based, so that you can use those on your website, have those weaved into your website content, and also use those as the basis for your social media and your blog editorial list as well. And if you haven't done so already, sign up to Google Adword Planner, so you can find out what some of those search terms may be and what your customers are using to find you. And then when you're completely happy, you can start those 5 activities, so that you can really start the second half of 2021 with a good start. So, do you want some help? Do you have the expertise? Do you have the systems and resources? Do you have the time? Can you do this all on your own? If not, there is help out there. We know there's been a number of professionals and on the delegate list today. Chamber members, we'd always encourage you to use chamber members, and the chamber itself as well, and the Kent Medway Growth Hub. You're always putting on lots of workshops like this and other ideas, so you're certainly not on your own. And talking of the chamber, we would just like to say thank you very much to Molly, Kaz and Kelly for the opportunity to speak to you today. As mentioned, we're massive fans of the chamber. We think everyone should be a member. So, you know, from that point of view, we really appreciate everything they do for us. So I'm sure Molly will be circulating everyone's contact details afterwards, but don't hesitate to stick in chat if you'd like to have a one-to-one with us, or if you'd like one of our ebooks. And all it goes for me to say is thank you very much for giving us an hour of your time. Are there any additional questions at all?
If everyone would like to unmute to ask Alistair and Catherine any questions. Do you know what? You've been splendid. You've answered everybody's question, guys, which is marvelous. If there are any more queries or comments that come in, we'll field them to you. It would be great if you guys could connect with the guest list today on LinkedIn, just to keep that connectivity going and the momentum that's there. It only remains for me to thank Team Chamber in the guise of Molly Hall, who always does an exceptional job at keeping us on track and timekeeping. And to you guys, your content was refreshing, you weren't evangelical, and most of all, it was really useful. Well done. I've learned something today. I'm going to go away with Google Adword Planner in my head and see how I can improve on myself. It only remains for me to thank our guests. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. I hope you got something out of the content today. I've been Kaz Macklin on behalf of Kent Invicta Chamber. I wish you all a great afternoon.
Thank you, Kaz.